Hi guys, and welcome back to Trev's Travels by Narrowboat. In this week's video, it's a bit of a cross between off the cut and on the boat. It's a bit towpathy orientated and a little bit of cooking. The off the cut series is not going to finish, but it's going to be more intermittent at the moment with the winter coming up, and I probably won't be visiting so many places. And I've had lots of requests about bringing my cooking back, so this is a bit of both. I'm calling the next couple of episodes Scrumping the Towpath. In this episode, we're going to pick raspberries, plums, and rosehips, also known as rose haws. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. Here we have my first wild fruits of the season. Delicious raspberries. I'm going to pick some of these and eat them with some cream. Don't they look yummy? Now they look scrumptious. I'm going to enjoy these. We have one of my favourites to find here on the towpath. Delicious plums. And it's time to pick a few. Well, it's now time to start making something with the produce. First of all, I'm going to make some plum jam. So, this is how I went about making my plum jam. Using the plums that I picked from the hedgerow, I'm just finishing off cutting them up. As you can see here. Take the stones out. I'm just doing them basically eighths. So there's all my plums now cut up, ready to make some plum jam. Now, one of the problems I've had to make the plum jam was I don't have any scales on the boat to weigh anything out with. So a little bit of improvisation. Now, I haven't checked on any recipes, but I know most jams are 50% sugar, 50% fruit. So here's my little device. I've made it on this piece of wood, which basically is balanced just about there. It will sit that way or the other way with a little touch. I have velcroed on each end a dish so they don't slide off. I'm going to put the fruit in one end, then I'm going to fill up the other end with sugar until it balances, because I don't know how much fruit I've got. So let's see how this goes. I'm doing this very carefully. Oops, lost a bit. Because I don't want to knock the pivot point, remove that fulcrum, so I lose the point of balance. Now, you may have noticed that I don't have anywhere near as many plums here as I actually picked. That is because I happened to meet up with my parents, and I gave my mum a huge proportion of them so that she could also make some plum jam. I just seem to have a good quantity for that. Now to add some sugar. Try and keep out of the camera shot here. I'm just going to steady this. Not sure if there's going to be enough in here. No, it still definitely wants to sit the other end. Miraculously, a full pot again. Of course, I just emptied another bag of sugar into it. I'm just using granulated sugar here. Oh. That just balanced over. I'm just going to take out a little bit. We're basically there. A little bit, yeah. And there we go. It will sit one end or the other when it's moved. And I can feel it. It's just about balanced there. So I think we should be good enough there to go make some plum jam. So I have the saucepan here. I have my plums and my sugar. Now, because I just velcroed it on, I quite easily was able to peel it off. So into the pan, I'm going to add my plums. You can see there the piece of velcro left. And my sugar. And once again, the piece of velcro. I'm going to turn that on. Now I know quite often people add a drop of water to this. I'm just going to start off on very, very low and stir it. That way I don't have to evaporate off the water. And I'm hoping that the sugar will slowly melt there. Obviously we don't want to burn it. I did actually pick probably 10 times this amount of plums. As I said, I gave the rest to my mum. The sugar's just starting to melt there now on the bottom. I haven't burnt it, as you can see. I've been keeping it moving. I managed to get away without adding any water. And I can now start to increase the heat a little bit. All those sugars melting. The sugar is just about all melted now. It has all melted actually. So now I'm going to bring it to a hard boil. I have in the oven, I put some jars in the oven. I don't have any sterilising fluids on the boat. So some old jam jars, well not so old, they've obviously been used once, are in the oven. They get them red hot, which will sterilise them. What we're doing here is boiling off the water. As it starts to get closer to being ready, you'll see the frothiness starts to disappear. The frothiness was created by the water, and it's starting to boil a lot clearer now. Which we need to get it to set. The plums, I believe, are quite easy fruit to set. They contain quite a lot of pectin. Some other fruits you may to either add some pectin to, or I've heard in the past, if you add a stick of rhubarb to any jam, it will help set it, because rhubarb apparently has lots of pectin in it. Now I think we're getting very close to being ready. I'm going to do one of the old fashioned ways of checking. I have a saucer. I'm going to take a little bit. It's looking like it's getting there to me. Put in my saucer. And I'm going to put it in the refrigerator in the freezer section. I'll leave it in the freezer section for a couple of minutes to chill it, and hopefully it will be set. We will check. Well, here we have it. And yeah, it's definitely set. So now to put it into the jars. So there we have it, poured into there. I might have missed there. I poured it into a jug, then poured the jug into the jars. I wasn't going to pour it straight from the pot, so it was going to be messy, and I don't have a funnel. There's a tiny little bit left over. I'm not going to worry about a third jar for that. But the lids are on, because the jars are very hot, and they're so hot in there now. They should, in theory, those poppers should go down when they chill, so it should seal. Unfortunately, I didn't have any sterilising fluid, as I said, so I've only washed the lids in very hot soapy water. But the jam doesn't come in contact with the lid, so we should be okay. Of course, we've got to try it, see what it tastes like. I've just tried it already, but I forgot to turn the camera on. That is very, very tasty. And now for something completely different I've never considered making before. Rosehip tea, or rose haw tea, whichever you want to call it. So here we go. Well, there are plenty of rose hips here growing near where I'm moored. So let's pick a few and try and make some rosehip tea or rose haw tea. But I think that is going to be enough for what I need. Just pick one or two more and we will go and take them back to the boat. Well, here we go. I picked a small container with a few in, probably about a cup and a half, something like that. Let's go and process them. We're never doing this before. I read up online that it says to put them in the freezer overnight. So here we go. I'm going to make rosehip tea. Well, it's not really tea because it doesn't contain tea, but an infused liquid of rose hips. I have my rose hips. I have a potato masher and a saucepan. Now, I've read up a few things online on how to make this. Totally new to me, and these I actually put in the freezer overnight, and they're now defrosted because apparently it helps the juices to come out. I'm going to give them a quick rinse, take my masher. Oh dear, they're hard. I think we're going to have to come up with a different idea. There's no way they're going to mash it. So, not to be outdone by a rose hip, I'm going to put them on the chopping board. Grab a knife. I'm wondering if they needed longer in the freezer, because I was told, or read up, once they come out of the freezer they go soft. No, obviously not that soft. I think I've got too many here to make a cup of tea. I read up and it says you need 1/4 cup of fresh rose hips mashed per 1 cup of tea. I've probably got a good 1.5 cups of rose hips here, so I'm not going to cut them all up. I'm going to come over here and continue to cut these few up. I don't have any cup measures, so I'm actually going to use a real cup. 1 cup. I'm going to see how that goes in there. That's going to do, I think. Let's throw a couple of those bits in I chopped up earlier. Now, the suggestions on the internet that you put them into a coffee filter and filter them through and steep them that way. Well, I don't have any coffee filters, but I do have my cafetiere. So I'm going to put them in the bottom of my cafetiere, pour in my boiling water, about a cupful. And I'm going to allow them to steep in there. I've allowed that now to steep for about 5 or 6 minutes, probably near a 7 now. So I have my cup. Let's try it, I guess. Now, according to the internet, rosehips can contain up to 100 times more vitamin C than oranges. Well, there we have it. Unusual smell. Delicate flavour. Would I make it again? Probably not. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it really doesn't have a lot going for it for me for flavour. I like good strong tea if I'm drinking real tea. I'm not quite sure why so many things which are infused in water are called tea. As far as I know, tea is a plant on its own, but there you go. No, I wouldn't make it again. Well, that was this week's Scrumping the Towpath. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun to make. I recommend that you really watch next week's Scrumping the Towpath when I make a blackberry and apple crumble with crab apples from the towpath, which turns out to be absolutely delicious. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, click that subscribe button, and please leave your comments. I love reading all your comments. That just leaves me to say, thank you very much for watching. Trevor out.